Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear listener. Strange things do happen in this world. So this is a translation of the message that she sent to me. The message reads like this. Hello, Brother Nash, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I am a lady who is in her late 50s. So I was married once, but then my husband died. When my husband died, then my husband's relatives, they started to mistreat me. And this left me with my only child. And when my husband died, he was in the army. So there was some pension money that was supposed to be given to me. But because of my age, they said that I was too young for that. So my relatives, they went and they spoke with my husband's relatives, but there was a big fight because my husband's relatives, they refused to give me or any of my relatives this pension money. So I returned back to my people and I had to work to put food on the table for my only son. I made sure that my son went to a very good school and I then gave him a very good education. Then after that, when my son had been in school, he was someone that was really intelligent, so he was put on this other bursary, and after that he then got a sponsorship by the time that he was at university. And right now, my son is a medical doctor there in South Africa, so that he can study there in South Africa. I then thought of bewitching him because I didn't want him to get married there. I wanted him to return back to his own people and choose amongst his own people. I bewitched my son, and I also wanted him to get married to my friend's daughter because I knew that I would be able to control my friend's daughter. And I didn't want him to get married in South Africa because I was always scared that he was going to forget about me. I wanted him to always take care of me because in our African culture, it is believed that when a son gets married, some of them, they forget about where they come from and they forget about their parents. So I wanted to make sure that this was not going to happen to my own son. So I went to a herbalist and he gave me some muti so that I can use these charms on my son. This traditional healer, he gave me a very small bottle that had the charms, and he told me that when I get home, all that I had to do was to cut a little piece of my son's underwear and put it in that bottle. Then I will call my son's name each and every night at around 12 a.m. I wake up, then I will take that small bottle. Even when I am sleeping in my bed, it does not matter. This small bottle, I always keep it by my side. Even when I visit my son there in South Africa, where he's staying, I make sure that I travel around with this small bottle that makes me to be able to control my son. So in the morning, I do call my son's name three times. Yes, I do call my name and I say, oh my son Joseph, not the real name of this woman's son. Oh my son Joseph, for your soul will be trapped in this bottle forever, so that I can control you. Only after I have died, then your soul will be released from this bottle. Oh my son, forget me not. I did all of these things so that my son's soul can be trapped inside that bottle. So when my son had graduated, he then got a job. Even after he had gotten his job, he then sent some money back to me here in Zim, and I took the money that he gave to me and I never used it because I keep it so that I can control his finances. If I want my son and his South African wife to suffer, then I'll just go to that place where I keep his first salary. Then I'll start to do some incantations so that in their home they can face a lot of marital problems. And the wife, she always gets sick. Like the last time she had a kidney infection, it was all because of me. I wanted them to waste a lot of money because I had heard my daughter-in-law, that South African one, that she wanted to go on a vacation alone. Where have you ever had such a thing? So I was suspicious that she wanted to go and prostitute herself. So I said, you are not going anywhere when my son is not with you. Then I spoke with this bunny that my son gave to me the first time around when he had gotten his first salary. And then they called me and they said that, Mommy, here things are not okay. I said, what is wrong, my son? Then my son told me that he had rushed his wife to the hospital because of a kidney infection. And I was happy. And I then said, let me pray for my Makoti. And I prayed for her. Then she got so much better. So they honestly believe that I am like their prayer warrior. Whenever they face any challenges in their marriage, they always rush to me, but they do not know that I am the source of their problems. So after 5 years of working, he then planned to get married, and he got married to a very beautiful young South African lady, and he has been married for almost 6 years now. But I didn't like it because I didn't want him to get married there in South Africa. I didn't want him to get married in that country. I wanted him to return back, and I was really disappointed. And what disappointed me even more was that they once had an issue at that same university where they met each other. This girl cheated on my son, and this made me to hate her. But I hated my son even more because he's just a fool who was cheated on but went ahead with marrying his wife. So what I did is that I then said, I do not want this woman to give birth for my son. Otherwise, when my son dies, he is going to claim all the properties. And right now, on my son's policy, I am the one who is there. Yes, indeed, if he passes away, I have the right to go there in South Africa and claim my son's life insurance. And I made sure that I tied all the ends, and I tied my daughter-in-law's fallopian tubes so that she can never be able to give birth. Even now that he is married, when he gets his money by month end, he always consults with me. Even the woman always asks me, Mommy, can you help us to do our grocery? I am the one who plans for them and to decide for them. They do not do anything without my consent. But the main witchcraft that I used on my son is that I made him not to give birth, and I inserted a man's manhood into his stomach. This I did spiritually. As I am talking right now, Brother Nashi, my son's manhood, it is inside his stomach, like the one that he sees. It is not like physically there. That is why he cannot give birth, because when he ejaculates, the sperm cannot go into his wife's body. The sperm will just be in his stomach, because his manhood, it is in his stomach, and he will never be able to conceive or to have children. Even if he goes to a strong prophet or a herbalist, they will never be able to help him, because I took a piece of his underwear and I placed it in that bottle. And then I also through this young woman's underwear, because when they had taken me for a vacation, I went, and since I am someone who knew what she wanted in their home, so I started cleaning around, even though they had a maid. So as I was cleaning around, I was just looking for that perfect opportunity to steal my daughter-in-law's underwear. After I had stolen it, I returned with it back home, and I went to Jipinge, where this traditional healer's son, the one that helped me when he was still alive, now his son is the one who is working as a healer. I took that underwear, which was a G-string, and I then gave it to that healer. The healer then told me that I had to tie it with a red cloth, and after I had tied it with a red cloth, he told me to go and throw it into the river. So by tying that G-string that belonged to my daughter-in-law, I was tying a fallopian tubes because I do not want her to give birth. Both of them, I want them to be barren. So this G-string that once belonged to her, it was taken by the river so many years ago. My son and my daughter-in-law, both of them, they cannot have any children. I tied my daughter-in-law's fallopian tubes so that I can be able to shift the blame on my daughter-in-law. Each and every time when I speak with my son about this issue, I always say, if she was able to conceive for you all of these years that you have been dating each other, she could have conceived for you. I spoke with my son and I say, be careful of this South African woman. She is after your money. So then my son, after I had convinced her, so after I had convinced my son, he then went and he changed the names that are on his policy without the knowledge of his South African wife, and I stand to benefit if anything happens to my son. He does not want to hear anyone who blames me or who talks bad about me. The main reason why I did all of these things that I did, it was because I didn't want my son to forget about me. And I always had stories about men who had gone to South Africa, married South African women, then losing their properties. So this was like my defense to defend my son and to defend my own rituals. The only problem that I have is that I cannot undo these rituals, because already if I do this ritual, then it is I who is going to die. I cannot reverse this process, and I am not willing to die. I know that my son and my daughter-in-law, they have wasted money going to see doctors, his friend doctors. There is one who is a gyno there who is his best friend. They have gone there, but nothing comes out of it because I am the one who did all of these things. I always blindfold my son. I do not want him to go to any church, especially the white garment churches. So I have blindfolded him and his wife. There are people who just love to have a good time, to drink beer and to go out partying. This I did so that they cannot think twice about their condition, and I do not want them to associate with anyone that prays or anyone that will give them advice to go and consult with a healer or with a prophet. I do not want my son to have children with this woman. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our listeners. Strange things do happen in this world.